Hello, Melrose. It's Mayor Paul Broder, unfortunately coming to you from City Hall with a winter storm update. I'm joined by who becomes the most important person in the city when conditions like this arise. That is our DPW Director, Elena Proikis-Ellis. Elena, thank you for joining us and for helping spread the word.
Thank you, Mayor.
So as folks have probably heard by now, we are expecting a major storm event with accumulations of up to 24 inches starting tonight, probably around midnight, and going through Saturday evening. So Elena, talk about these conditions, and if you could add a little bit of information about wind, which is a big part of this storm. Let's ground people in what's going to be happening.
Sure. So we're supposed to be seeing snow starting overnight tonight. We're going to be bringing our crews in, bringing in all our contractors. We are well staffed for this storm. We have all of our snow routes covered. We have even a few more pieces of equipment than we had the last storm, which is fantastic. So we're ready to go, ready to start fighting the snow as soon as it starts falling overnight. The worst of it is going to be coming into tomorrow morning and tomorrow during the day. We're hearing weather reports of wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour and winds up to 30 miles an hour. Blizzard-like conditions, driving conditions could be near zero visibility at times. We're hearing 2 to 4 inches per hour falling at some points tomorrow. So our general advice to folks is to stay home, stay inside, don't be out on the roads if you don't have to be. With winds of that speed and with enough snow falling that quickly, we could have tree limbs coming down. It could be dangerous out on the roads or even out in your yards. So the message is to stay home and be safe.
Stay off the roads, folks, for a couple, because it's the best thing to do for your own safety, and it also helps DPW, police, and fire get to the places where they got to go in very challenging conditions. So you're also helping your neighbors when you stay off the roads, unless you absolutely cannot. So, Elena, you talked about wind. That means the potential for, as you said, down trees, down limbs, and down power lines. Now, depending on the nature of the situation, that's going to affect who you reach out to for assistance. So let's talk about down tree limbs and city trees.
Sure. So if you have down tree limbs on city trees, we have a crew that's going to be on standby from an outside contractor to be removing tree limbs. Our forestry employees will all be out plowing, so we have the extra help from Northern Tree. If you have a downed limb that is not an immediate threat, you can call the DPW office at 781-665-0142. And we'll add it to our list to come out and remove those limbs. If anything is an immediate threat, or if it has hit power lines or seems to be any immediate danger, please call 911 so that there's an immediate public safety response.
Terrific. What we need to stress to folks, this is going to be a major event. So if it is not an emergency, please be patient, because there's going to be a lot of situations on the ground. We will get to everything, but it is going to take some time, again, given the magnitude of the storm. Obviously, hopefully an exception to that is a down power line. Elena, what do folks do in the situation of a down power line, which is an emergency, an immediate threat, or loss of power?
So if you have a downed power line or any downed wires, you should always assume that they're live, always assume that they're electrical, even if you think they may not be, and call 911 so that the proper authorities can come out and check into that immediately. If you lose power, but you don't have downed lines that you can see, you can call National Grid's outage line, and they will, again, add your address to the list. And again, folks will have to be patient. We anticipate that there probably will be some power outages throughout the storm, and so they'll be doing what they can to get everybody restored as quickly as possible.
So one thing I would urge folks to do in the event that there is a power outage, plan ahead. By that I mean, if you have a laptop, charge it up. If you have your cell phone, make sure it's fully charged, because You will be able to communicate with National Grid online, and you can also actually check reports of progress about any power outage along the way. So it's a really good resource, but obviously once the power goes out, you're going to be relying on your battery. So please, to the extent you have those items, keep them charged up. Let's talk about probably the biggest place we need help, and that is with parking. What is the city's approach to parking going to be for this storm?
We are instituting a parking ban starting at midnight tonight and going through noontime on Sunday. We expect that the storm will be tapering off tomorrow night, and so we'll be able to clean up pretty well overnight Sunday into Sunday morning. And so we anticipate we should be able to lift that parking ban at noon on Sunday. But if anything changes, depending on if the storm changes, we would update that at a later time.
But we know that there are going to be, on Saturday, it's fair to assume that no city services or activities will be available. So the library will not be open tomorrow. Rec programs run through the Melrose Recreation Department will not be running tomorrow. You should check with your local house of worship if you're planning to go to services during the weekend. And ideally, they will be canceling as well because we still think it's going to be quite risky through Sunday morning. But obviously, before you go out of your house for something like that, please check because odds are it will be canceled. And so we say this every storm, Elena, in terms of catch basins and how we can support fire in particular. What are some things residents can do to, help their friends and neighbors and help our public safety folks manage through and after the storm?
If you have a catch basin in front of your house or a drainage grate, as some people might call them, it's best if you can keep that clear during the storm when you go out to shovel. Please try to shovel off those grates so that as the snow melts afterwards, the water has someplace to go. And fire hydrants. If you have a fire hydrant along your frontage, we ask you to please shovel out the hydrant because if there's ever a fire in your neighborhood, the firefighters need to be able to find and get on those hydrants immediately. And it's a huge help if they can be shoveled out by the residents who live next to them.
And folks, we want you to act reasonably. That is super important advice, and it really does help out a ton. We don't want anyone out there in the middle of the storm hurting themselves doing either of those things. And for a storm like this, it can be a little bit challenging, particularly with the catch basins, because we know plows are going to be circulating a lot. You feel it when you're just done doing your driveway and the plow comes by and gives you a new layer of snow at the back of the driveway. But please, you can keep those things in mind. If you are able, it's a terrific help to the entire community. Elena, before we sign off, anything else you need to add?
I think I just want to reiterate that with the wind gusts we're going to get and the potentially heavy snow and low visibility, stay home, stay inside, go out and clean up once the wind has died down and the weather's looking a little better, and stay safe.
Elena, I want to thank you for joining us. I certainly want to thank MMTV for their support in getting the message out about the snow emergency. And folks, you've heard the numbers, you've heard where to reach out. If you need help, please stay safe, stay inside. Elena, thank you in advance for everything you and your team are going to do over the next 48 plus hours. And let's get to it. But really, everyone stay safe out there. Thanks for listening.